Divine greetings, entities, energies, lovelies, bodies of light, the seekers and sojourners of truth. 144, chosen of the chosen few. You all know who you are. I greet you in the love that lights the truth from my heart to yours. I am Celestial Earth in this divine energy essence of it all, reporting to you live from nowhere other than dimension number 5. And as per usual, I bring you the news to infuse, if you so choose to infuse with the light on this light grid. So let's light it on up. I'm bringing you the galactic news, fresh off the pot downloads, bringing it straight to you about our dimensions, our dimensional ascensions in time as it pertains to the timeline. Right? But before I do, at first, let me make sure we do some little housekeeping, cleaning, whatever you want to call it. Reminder, 5D calendars are out and they're on a promo sale discount while we're in this gateway, the Sirius gateway. So even though as I say on the 5D calendar, I don't like to say on the 5D calendar, it is from 7/3 to 7/7. However, I'm extending it to the 9th because it can be up to the 9th as well. So you have up until the 9th, which is mañana. For those who, some of you may see it mañana, so it'll be today for you. But you will get it discountedly for $18 instead of $27. That's a huge discount. That's a whole, $9 discount, almost 10, right? So remember, email me at akilatextry@gmail.com and then just put in the promo code Sirius Gateway so you can get your discount and we'll get it right to you. So you can get this at a 5D corner near you, right around the corner in your mind, in your soul's consciousness. Find the 5D in you. If you've already found this channel, you pretty much entered 5D. So you might as well stop at the 5D gift shop. Whoop whoop. With that said, and it's a beautiful calendar. It really is. It really does help you bridge the timelines. It helps you to get off the old Gregorian calendar and find your true timeline in the true origins of time as it resonates with you. And this particular calendar really helps to keep you bridged in between the timelines, in between 3D and 5D, so you know where you are. Ashe. Anything else, please remember to like, subscribe, share, comment if you dare. Keep the comments, leave an emoji. What else you could do? Notification, hit that bell, all of that good stuff so that we can amplify the message, the information. If you like this content, please share it in your groups and things like that. Like I do. When I like something that I see, I definitely share it in our groups, in our Starseed Connection group. They know if I see something, I'm going to share it. So do the same, share the information because it's beneficial for everybody and it helps to get the algorithms going so those in remote places can find it, right? So with that said, Ashe, got to catch myself. So with that said, I'm still correcting that word, right? And we flipping it into Ashe. The topic, it's a comment of this topic, is that we're talking about the dimensional timelines. Now, this is spinning off of the live that I did yesterday, telling you all I had this fresh download and I didn't want to put it, on top of what I was saying. So this is separate. Speaking about the dimensional timelines, and this was it's information that was already streaming through me, but it came through so clearly, through the meditation with the Blu-ray light and all of that, for those of you who heard the live yesterday. So I'm bringing it to you about the dimensional timeline. So it's to understand that everything is dimensionally ascending, and the dimensional ascension is also the timelines. That is how we are shifting timelines. Every time we unfold into another dimension, essentially you are expanding, you are collapsing an old timeline and you are expanding your consciousness into a next timeline, because you are expanding into the next dimension. You're unfolding another dimension. It's kind of like how the flower of life just keeps open and open and opening. So it's very similar to that, and it's on so many levels. So when I share the download, I'll kind of go through some of those levels, because it's in your soul. There's a dimensional soul ascension. Everything is dimensional. Everything. Just like how they say everything is energy. Everything is energy in multi-dimensionally so, because dimensions are different levels of this energy, light, and information. So it is in your soul. It is even in the visual of this earth. And I want to talk about that too, as it pertains to how we see the earth, whether it's flat or round. And I want to, connect that so that we even see how. Maybe I could do a different video about flat or round, but I really don't like to do, the verses, the duality, because everything is both. Everything is, the duality. When we transcend duality, we realize that everything is one and the same. The differences are only complementary onto something that is the same in one mind consciousness. Ashe? Ashe. So with that said, let me get into this dimensional explanation. So I'm going to give you how I got it, because I just wrote it down as soon as it was coming, transcribing it. So I'm going to go through it and share that with you. So everything, as I said, is dimensionally ascending through the flower of life dimensions of time, or in time, because as I said, the flower of life just keeps unfolding. We're the flower of life. This earth is a flower of life. It just keeps unfolding. The soul of this earth keeps unfolding into another dimension. So and we're all, this is on so many levels, as I said, from the atom split to the human bio split, to even onto the earth, the planetary bio split, and so much more. The soul unfolding journey is also, and definitely, an exemplification of this dimensional ascension, as we split as fractals of light from one plane of existence onto another. So we're constantly, as I said, in our soul. Every time we collapse a timeline, every time we remove something, we do shadow work, we close out some karmic trauma. Every time we do that, we're closing out an old timeline. We're shifting from another dimension of ourself. And I have to say that this happens in a twofold, right? In our, let's say in this lifetime, we are unfolding. We're on a soul unfolding journey in this lifetime, that we're unfolding one dimension at a time, shifting the timelines. And holistically, as a holistic soul, you are also shifting from one dimension holistically. So what do I mean by that? Some of us are here. Some of us have come here as three-dimensional, holistically a three-dimensional soul. And some have come here holistically as a four-dimensional soul. And so depending on how you go through this lifetime and how much dimensional ascensions you're doing in this lifetime determines if you will be shifting to holistically the next dimension of your soul. So that means that, let's say within this lifetime, you may be, let's say at about a sixth dimension, right? You've gone through 4, 5, 6, and remember the dimensions go up to 9. So you get up to 9, which is spiritual completion, and you cycle out of that into the next level of your holistic soul. So you will be going from, okay, cat just taking off. So you will be going from, let's say you are 4D, and you get to the spiritual completion, and you cycle out of that, and now you go and you excel to a 5th dimensional soul, right? And it may be more even intricate than that. There may be things that you actually have to go through, different levels within this lifetime. So you may have to go, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 in this particular area, and then you have to go again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, just to get through one level, right? Because there's levels within levels. So I want to make sure we don't take it so it's not one dimensional. It's really not black and white. It is very multi-dimensional. It's levels within levels, and some of us are have to go through a couple of levels. We're all different just to get our holistic soul to where we need to go. Some of us are wanting to get our holistic soul from 3D into a fourth dimension soul, and we have to go through a couple of levels of dimension 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 a couple of times before we can actually lift that soul or elevate that holistic soul from 3D to 4D, and then from 4D to 5D if it can be done within this lifetime, because it depends on how much levels you got to go through, levels within levels. So I say that so we understand the different levels of the dimensional, the twofold even. It's really a multifold, a manifold, but the twofold that I can explain um, of the soul's dimensional ascension. So the easiest way to look at that is you have this lifetime dimensional ascension, and you have the holistic soul dimensional ascension, where some of us are trying to get from a holistic 3D soul to a 4D soul, or a holistic 4D soul to a 5D soul, or maybe even from 5D to a 6D, depending on where some people are, right? Those may be the real higher ups. So just to kind of highlight what's happening, and remembering that every time you do, to understand it on our level, let's say in a more minute way, every time you shadow work, every time you just simply do what needs to be done in your soul, you're on your soul unfolding journey, you are closing out. Every time you remove a layer of soot off your soul, you remove karmic trauma. All of that is some type of shadow work, and by you doing that, you're lifting the layers, you're lifting the resistance in your soul, and you're closing that out so that you can open and you can expand your consciousness into the next timeline, right? Let me not say too much because there is more right here, and I'll probably be double explaining that. So that's to get that understood. So as the atoms are splitting, because that's what's happened, as the atoms are splitting, we are ascending from the inside out. We traverse through time as we cross the dimensional timelines, which is what I was saying. Every time we cross a timeline, we are shifting through time, because we're in a time-space reality. We are keepers of time. We are vessels of time. So every time that we traverse through these dimensional timelines, we're shifting, right? In other words, the dimensions are our timelines. Let me say that again. The dimensions are our timelines. So when you keep hearing timelines are collapsing, that's like saying the dimensions are collapsing. The old dimensions, the old paradigms, they're collapsing, right? Some of us are collapsing them by doing our soul work intentionally. Like I always say, it's better to intentionally collapse your timelines than to have them be collapsed, than to be collapsing with the masses. Like when I see it, it's almost like a big major building just falling down, collapsing. Right? It's better that you close out. You close it out and leave and say, I'm done with this. And then that building just falls down when you leave. You leave that old consciousness, that old thinking, and then the building is free to fall. It's better to do it that way than being still in that building and the timeline is just collapsing. It's no more. Right? And so you collapse. It's what I call the ego collapse. And you're collapsing with the collective misappropriated ego in that way. And that's not always beautiful, because you didn't actually excel. When you fall with the collapsing building, you're not actually excelling or expanding your consciousness. You're keeping your consciousness trapped at that level in that collapsing building, under that collapsing timeline. In other words, as I already said that, so as we expand out of one dimension, the perspectives of that timeline collapses, and we integrate to ascend into the next timeline. So that's to understand that, as I explained, when we are expanding out of a dimension, all the perspectives, all those old perspectives that are in that old paradigm, that old building, it collapses. And then we integrate into the new timeline. We integrate and ascend into our next timeline because that one has fallen, it has collapsed. So we're on to the next one. And that is through conscious expansion, right? Being aware of our consciousness expanding by doing the work. That is awareness. Remembering, by being a part of the remembering, by remembering your divine plan, remembering your soul's purpose, and actively being an active participant in this, being a persistent, dedicated soul that is dedicated to the shadow work, that is dedicated to the trauma revealing. I don't want to say healing, because it's to reveal is to heal. So to allow yourself to continue to go through the book of Revelations in your soul, in your life, that story of you, is helping you to collapse those timelines. Now this happens on multiple levels within our soul as we are externally, right? So it happens within, okay, that's what I'm saying. It happens within as well as it does happen externally. It's happening on multiple levels within as well as outside, externally, but within the soul of this planet. So that's what I mean with externally. So it's happening with us and it's happening all around us, this dimensional timelines. But even though it's external from us personally, it is still internal to the soul of the planet, to the planetary grid, whatever it is that you want to call it. So it's still a soul ascension, whether it's your personal soul, whether it's the soul of the planet. This is a soul ascension, and this is how we continue to expand in the manifold of time, and we continue to open and unfold, one flower at a time, one dimension at a time. I should say one flowered leaf, because the whole flower of life has many petals, many dimensions, many levels within this sphere. All right, so with that said, is there any more? Yes, a little bit more. So a soul ascension requires dimensional timeline expansion. Let me say that again. A soul ascension requires dimensional timeline expansion, which is an expansion in the consciousness. So in order to ascend, your dimension has to expand. You have to expand your consciousness to the next dimension. 1D, 2D, 3D, 4D, 1 through 9, over and over again on multiple levels. This helps with the understanding the understanding of our very existence on this planet. Okay, this is where it gets to me speaking about the planetary, how we experience our existence in this planet, whether flat or round. So it also, to understand this dimensional unfoldment, it also helps with our existence on this planet with the perspective of it being a flat or a round earth. This is, keenly listen to this. It is neither. It's neither flat or round, as we realize with our real eye through the conscious expansion of the dimensions of our soul, that the existence on this earthly realm expands from a flat 2D to a round 3D to a vibrational 4D to an expression of this vibration to 5D to the holographic reception 6D, and so on and so on and so on, or so on to the ninth dimension. The perception of reality exists as we expand the dimensions of time within our mind. Let me say that again. The perception of reality exists as we expand our dimensions of time within our mind as soul ascension. This is what I consider a whole soul ascension. So with that said, what do I mean by that? This is one of them times where I wish I had a little diagram that I could, draw it out for you. But people are tending to say, is it a flat earth? Is it a round earth? And for me, I always said it was both. This is why I now with new information can understand how some may say it's neither, because I've heard that. I would usually say both, flat, round. It's flat with a round sphere, however you want to look at it. There's something definitely spheric about it, because everything happens in a sphere. If you look at a rainbow, when the light shines through precipitation, you don't see a straight line of a rainbow. You see an arch. You see an arch of a rainbow, and every which way that you see a rainbow, it happens in an arch. That shows that light bends. It's not straight, it's not linear, but it's more circular, spheric, spiral, either way. So it's not to say that the earth itself is round. Even looking at it like that is a 2D mindset, or, even 3D mindset. But when you expand your consciousness, when you expand your perception, you see the actual living existence of the earth. It's neither of that. But if you're at a 2D consciousness, you're going to see it as flat. That's why at the beginning of time, they always said the earth was flat. That's the level, that's what they were at. And even though the earth itself was at a 3-dimensional level, once humans, once animals, and once we move from 2D consciousness, which is the plants and the earth in and of itself, that was more 2D. Once we start to live in animation with animated life force energy, whether through animals or through us, it becomes a 3-dimensional existence. But that doesn't mean that everybody is at 3D in their soul. See, this is why I said it's worlds within worlds, dimensions within dimensions. So even though the earth was at a evolved aspect of 3D, the souls that were here, they may have still been at a 2D consciousness. So they're seeing the earth as they develop, as they recognize things, they're seeing it as flat. And then as mankind evolves, more perspective evolves, and they evolve in their dimensional soul in and of itself, you begin to see the earth as round, right? And then, but it's not like a solid round. So then when you get to the 4th dimensional level, when you expand your perspective again, you begin to see that we exist vibrationally, like through a pulse, a vibration that is kind of looking at the atoms, how the atoms are like bouncing everywhere, but circularly or spherically, if you will. And so you begin to see it as such. At 4D, you see it as this vibration, as this vibrating, pulsating existence. And then at 5 dimension, it becomes an expression of this vibration. So you're seeing at even another level. It's just like multiplying the dimensions, like the flower of life. You just see it another dimension, and now it's neither flat nor round, but it is just this spheric existence, this vibrational existence. And at 6th dimension, come on, it's like where it's a holographic perception. You begin to see that the earth in and of itself is a reflection of the one mind consciousness of source living in the existence of time and time-space reality. So I'm just breaking it down so we can see the levels. Everything is perception, and so it is within your world and within your consciousness. So every time you expand, let me bring it back to that, every time you level up, meaning, and the way to level up is to to have accountability, to remove resistance, to remove karmic trauma, the soot of karma on your soul. Every time you peel a layer of that off of your soul, then you leave that dimension behind. You have elevated to the next dimension. You have closed out, even within your mind, you have shifted the dimensional timelines within your mind, and you shift to the next dimension, and your consciousness expands and expands and expands. And so we move through time in that way. This is how, if you can see it, this is all a part of quantum physics, energetically, esoterically, etherically speaking. This is our existence, right? And we're here to Ashe, and we are here to dimensionally ascend through time over and over again. We go out, we transition physically and go out, and we come back in, continue to develop our holistic soul to the next dimension. And while we're here in particular lifetimes, we're unfolding dimensionally, one timeline. Timelines are not new. It's not just because we entered 5D and now everybody talking about timeline shift and timelines collapsing. We've always been shifting timelines, because that is how we travel through time. That is how we cross the timeline, when we shift a dimension in our mind. Everything is through mind. The universe is in the mind. We are in the mind of the universe, and the universe is in the mind. Ashe? So this is how it was revealed. happy to share that with you. I believe that was it. So it's, remembering that everything is dimensionally ascending, and this is how we ascend through time in our time-space reality. And this is the reality that we exist in within our universe, within our galaxy, all the way up to the galactic center. Once you go beyond the galactic center, it is space-time reality, because you're out of time that is within space. And you are in space time out there. I show you with that, and that's light years away. So faithfully, you're able to utilize this to help you even understand how you're collapsing timelines by shifting out of dimensions. So just simply look at it as you doing your soul work. That's why everything boils down to you. Everything starts with you. Everything, you are the alpha and the omega. Everything begins and ends with you, inside and out. So doing your soul work, doing your shadow work, don't shy away from that, because that is the very thing. Having accountability, which helps you to transcend into the next timeline. That's your access granted to transcendence, is accountability. So the more we remember the time, see, again, this is Mike was on to something. Do you remember the time? And do you remember? This is why I call the 5D calendar remembering the time. We're all a part of the remembering. Do you remember the time? And when you consciously become a part of the remembering, you remember what time it is in your timeline. You remember what you're supposed to do in this lifetime that pertains to a previous lifetime, that you are removing, trauma or karmic imprints off of your holistic soul by doing what you need to do in this lifetime. So do you remember the time? Are you in the remembrance of time within time by pushing your dimensional timelines and expanding into your next timeline, all through dimensional ascension? So it's all perspective, and we have to be willing to collapse those old perspectives. We have to be willing. Remember, it's better if you get out the building before it collapses. So it's better that you figure it out, you remember the time, remember who you are, and then say, this no longer serves me. Walk away from it, let it collapse, and then the next one's going to open up. You're just going to, it's like you're just going to step into that timeline. Right? This is why they say sometimes everybody can't go, because everybody's not willing to close out those old paradigms and get out of the building. Everybody's not willing to get out of the building before it collapses. And if you don't get out the building before it collapses, you do not get to cross into that next timeline. You do not get to expand your consciousness into that next timeline, because we are dimensionally ascending. That is, the soul ascension cannot be done without passing that dimension. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Spiritual completion. Loop out, spiral out, and go to the next cycle of your dimensions in time. Ashe, one dimension at a time. So with that said, faithfully, as I said, it will be able to shed some light on these dimensional timelines that we're shifting into. And remember, code for the 5D calendar is Sirius Gateway. Remember to get them at a 5D corner near you, and you can get them at akilatextry@gmail.com. I'll put the link in the description below. With that said, each one reach one, teach one. If you don't know where to start in your big, beautiful heart. Shine your light from the inside out, and be the candle that lights the next one, and the next one, and the next one. Peace, love, and light.